Clark thought about it. Good closeout by Coulier. 5 seconds. Clark driving, blocked by Coulier.
You hear one of your players is being mentioned in a letter from members of Congress to the commissioner of the league. You know, how do you handle that?
Again, that's not something we can control. We're not affiliated with those groups, and we try to keep the main thing, and focus on the things that we can.
Stephanie White was caught on camera doing something that immediately raised eyebrows on the Indiana Fever sideline. As Caitlin Clark battled through contact while trying to finish a layup, White wasn't clapping, shouting instructions, or showing the urgency you'd expect from a head coach supporting her franchise player. Instead, she dropped her hands toward the floor in a gesture that looked almost like she was mocking the entire attempt. The cameras captured it clearly, and the moment quickly became another talking point surrounding the Fever.
Bro, did y'all see this last night? Y'all see, boy, this was hilarious last night. So look at this picture right here. Look at this picture right here. This is Stephanie White. Stephanie White was, boy, I tell you, Caitlin Clark probably drives Stephanie White up the wall, boy. So this is Stephanie White. I saw this last night, and I thought
Once fans slowed the footage down and started sharing it across social media, the moment began to look like more than just a reaction to a missed shot. To many viewers, White's body language appeared to send a message, and it certainly didn't look supportive. Within hours, the clip was everywhere, replayed in slow motion, zoomed in, and covered with captions expressing everything from confusion to outright frustration. Fever fans couldn't understand why their head coach appeared to be reacting that way toward the very player they've relied on to keep the team competitive.
Going to work, y'all. Never.
Indiana has been rolling.
Because this narcissist over here will not get out of her own way.
Thought about it. Good closeout by Coulier.
Listen, I love when the fans boo Stephanie White, because I've been telling y'all since the beginning of the season. When it comes to coaching, especially for the MVP, Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, she's trash. We all see the biases with Stephanie White. When those fans booed, the fans did the right thing. Don't stop there. Because when you do stuff like that and then you stop, what you accomplished only lasts for a game or two. And then we go.
Think about that for a second. This is the same coach who's supposed to build confidence in her locker room, the steady presence players rely on when a game gets physical, the shots stop falling, and the pressure starts mounting. Yet instead of visibly encouraging her star through a difficult possession, White was caught making a gesture that many fans interpreted as mimicking the missed attempt, almost as if she were saying, "Come on, that's not it." And that's what made the moment so uncomfortable for Fever supporters. It didn't come across as encouragement. It looked like criticism directed at Caitlin Clark, the same player Indiana has leaned on heavily throughout the season. You'd expect that kind of frustrated reaction toward a role player struggling through a rough stretch, not toward the centerpiece of the offense who's constantly under the national spotlight. And the timing only amplified the reaction. This wasn't happening behind closed doors during a film session. It happened during a live possession, in front of a packed arena and a national television audience, where every gesture could be replayed, analyzed, and shared within minutes.
Does it change the way you coach the game? You ever notice that third quarter or fourth quarter? Does it ever impact the way you coach?
The fans?
Just the atmosphere, the voice that you have to project, any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously,
I think the only time it really does is sometimes in timeouts. You know, really making sure that we get tight and we get in there and making sure that we can project that. I mean, look, when they're on the other end, they act like they don't hear me anyway. Like, I'm used to that. So I was a player too. I did the same thing. No, I mean, I do think, I think that you got to have some signals. You got to have some awareness in dead ball situations of looking over if we're going to try to make some adjustments.
And this wasn't an isolated moment either. Similar scenes have surfaced in other games, raising even more questions about the relationship between Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark. Instead of quietly pulling her franchise player aside to communicate, White has been seen engaging with Clark on the sideline in ways that appeared visibly tense. Back in May, during a blowout loss to Portland, cameras captured what looked like a heated exchange between the two. White pulled Clark from the game earlier than expected and replaced her with a rookie guard, while Clark stood nearby looking frustrated, shaking her head and raising her arms in disbelief. The tension was noticeable enough that teammates appeared to step in and help settle things down on the bench. For Fever fans, moments like that are difficult to ignore. A coach and a franchise player don't have to agree on everything, especially in the middle of an emotional game. But when those disagreements repeatedly play out in front of cameras and a national audience, they can create the perception of a deeper problem. And once that perception takes hold, every sideline interaction gets watched a little more closely. White later described the incident as coaching, explaining that she was challenging Clark to improve and holding her to a higher standard because of what she expects from her franchise player. And to be fair, coaches are supposed to challenge their stars. Accountability is part of the job, especially when expectations are high. But there's a major difference between pulling a player aside after a timeout and having a private conversation versus making a public decision in the middle of a game while that player is still processing what happened on the court. When emotions are already running high, those moments can easily be interpreted in ways a coach may not intend. Clark, however, didn't fuel the controversy. When asked about the situation afterward, she essentially brushed it aside, framing it as two competitive people who both wanted to win. She didn't criticize White, didn't throw her coach under the bus, and didn't turn the moment into a bigger story. Instead, she defended her coach and took the high road. That response says plenty about Clark's character. Even when the optics weren't exactly in her favor, she chose to keep the focus on the team rather than create another distraction in front of the cameras.
Yeah, she intentionally seeked out the official.
Did that you backwards to them? Did you know they were there in that moment?
And through the forearm. That too.
Did you know they were there?
No.
Did they give
It's
you
really bad.
a different explanation of anything?
No, that's
Gave
what I
us
was
the
told.
same
That's what I was told, yeah.
Was your tech for the argument?
My tech was for saying that, even though I heard the F-bomb the whole game. My tech was for saying that, like, that's a bad call. That's a bad call. Incidental contact when you're flying out of control, like on it. And I thought her teammates should have come up and talked to her about that as well. Like, I think that's really bad. That happens all the time in the game. Officials have to have some awareness in those moments, and it didn't happen.
Did you plan to appeal that one?
Yes.
It's already a deal.
But this is where the bigger criticism comes in. Some fans believe the loyalty between Clark and White hasn't always felt equal. And the concern goes beyond missed layups or tense sideline moments. There have also been situations this season where Clark endured questionable contact or officiating decisions, yet White's public response appeared relatively restrained. One example came when Clark was assessed a technical after making contact with an official while arguing a call. The league later rescinded that technical after reviewing the situation. For critics, the issue wasn't simply whether White agreed with the officials. It was the perceived lack of urgency in defending her star player when the controversy happened. Compared with coaches who immediately step forward when their key players take a questionable hit or receive what they believe is an unfair call, White's approach appeared noticeably more measured. And that's why these moments keep getting connected. Any single incident can be explained away as coaching, emotion, or simply part of the game. But when fans start seeing the same pattern repeatedly, they naturally begin asking whether the support from the sideline is as strong as it should be for a franchise player like Clark.
Defense. Yes, sir. Push it. Sophie with the lay. Oh, shoot. Bruh. Uh-oh. Oh. Wow. She ain't like that at all. Bro, I need to see a replay, but that was a hard foul. All right.
Across the face, coming down.
Across the face. Oh, shoot. What? That's almost a clothesline in the air. She didn't come close to hitting hand or ball. That's 100%. That could have been a way worse situation. Like, look at that. Come on now. Look at her leg. Like, she could have really got hurt. Yeah, Sophie wasn't thinking about fighting. Like, let's be real. She wasn't really finna fight. She wasn't making that. She wasn't finna make that move.
Has been upgraded to a flagrant foul, penalty 2.
Yep. And I'm like, if this ain't a flagrant 2, why is she looking shocked? Why is she looking shocked?
And it's not just Clark's supporters who believe they've noticed this pattern throughout the season. Sophie Cunningham has found herself at the center of a similar situation. When Dejanai Carrington was ejected after being assessed a flagrant 2 foul for hitting Cunningham, the incident immediately sparked debate. Many analysts and fans viewed the contact as dangerous and unnecessary. But what drew just as much attention was the reaction afterward. Instead of immediately showing the kind of outrage some expected from a coach defending her own player, Stephanie White's initial response appeared notably restrained. That only added another layer to the growing criticism surrounding White's sideline leadership and the way she responds when her players are involved in controversial moments.
I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that Dejanai intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
White's response only fueled the criticism. She said she didn't believe Carrington intentionally targeted Cunningham's neck, suggesting that Carrington was simply playing hard and competing the way she always does. To some fans, it sounded like White was giving the opposing player the benefit of the doubt before fully defending her own player. Cunningham later pointed out that White hadn't even clearly seen the replay before making those comments publicly. And that's what made the situation so uncomfortable for many viewers. Imagine taking a hard hit on national television, then hearing your own coach publicly explain the opposing player's actions before even having the full replay in front of her. Whether White intended it that way or not, the optics were difficult to ignore, and they only added fuel to the growing debate over how strongly she stands behind her players when things get heated.
Wellness, our player safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win. It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. Every day these women put their on the line. Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
To be fair, White did walk some of those comments back a few days later as the backlash continued to grow. After watching the replay repeatedly, she described the foul on Cunningham as egregious and used much stronger language than she had in her initial reaction. White also gave an emotional defense of her relationship with her players, making it clear that she believes she stands with them through everything, win or lose. Her message was about loyalty, love, grace, and refusing to let outside criticism define her relationship with the team. That's a strong statement, and it deserves to be acknowledged rather than simply ignored. But here's where the criticism doesn't completely disappear. A passionate press conference days later doesn't change what happened in the moment itself. When the incident first occurred, Cunningham needed her coach's support immediately, and White's initial response came across as hesitant rather than forceful. Maybe White genuinely needed to see the replay before making a stronger judgment. Maybe she was trying to avoid escalating an emotional situation. But perception matters too. And when the first instinct appears cautious while the defense comes days later, fans are naturally going to question which reaction reflected how she truly felt in real time.
Really good job of finding a way. Okay, really good job of finding a way. We started to expand that fist and then we came back together. All right, that was really good stuff. Now we know we got a lot of stuff we got to work on, right? We know that. But being able to come away and withstand what we withstood in that run and to be able to pull together, get some key stops, shot C. Yeah, hell yeah, see? Great pass, coach. It wasn't pretty. Okay, it wasn't pretty. We still got room for growth, a lot of room for growth, but great job getting the W on the road. You guys are doing 1, 2, 3.
Now, if we being honest, let's just keep it real. We can tell that play was drawn up for Kelsey Mitchell, man. It's just, which is silly, bro. And it's like y'all keep forcing it. They would rather lose a game if they can force it to Kelsey, and we can lose or win by the hands of Kelsey Mitchell. And that's why our team looked the way it has been looking this season.
So look at the pattern that's been developing throughout the season. Whether it's a hard foul, a difficult missed shot, or a tense exchange on the sideline in front of thousands of fans, Stephanie White has repeatedly found herself at the center of viral moments that leave people questioning her approach. And those small moments can matter more inside a locker room than outsiders realize. Players notice body language. They notice how a coach reacts when things go wrong, especially when the pressure is at its highest. When a coach responds to a missed layup by dropping her hands instead of immediately encouraging the player and getting her focused on the next possession, that reaction can send a message, even if that wasn't the intention. It's not necessarily loud. It's not a screaming match or some dramatic confrontation caught on a hot microphone. Sometimes, it's simply a look, a gesture, or a few seconds of body language. But those moments can add up. And while the cameras may only capture a fraction of what happens during a game, everyone sitting on that bench sees those reactions in real time. That's why fans are paying closer attention now. They're not judging one isolated clip anymore. They're looking at the bigger picture.
During the game, Caitlin got honored as the WNBA Player of the Year in the ESPYs. Just what does it mean to have her impact so far? I mean, there are a lot of really good players in this league, and she got honored as the best player in the league by the ESPYs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she continues to get new awards. She continues to break barriers. She continues to do things that we haven't seen before. I mean, you know, obviously you think about the Stewie's MVPs of the league, and you know, championship winners, and Asia's MVPs of the league and championship winners, and of course Sue Bird, who was sitting, you know, in the building today. And you know, Caitlin is so fortunate, as well as all these guys, really. I mean, that they don't know anything any different than the WNBA. Right, like they've seen their idols play. They work their asses off to get to where they are, and to be able to be honored, whether it's the ESPYs or whether it's league awards or whether it's All-Star or whatever. I just think they continue to then lead the way for the other young players that are.
Here's what makes the whole situation even harder to understand when you step back and look at the full picture. Caitlin Clark has been one of Indiana's most important players all season. She's the player who draws massive attention on the road, drives enormous interest whenever the Fever are on the schedule, and gives Indiana another level of offensive firepower when the rest of the roster struggles to find a rhythm. She's also dealt with constant physical pressure and intense scrutiny, yet continues to show up and compete. Night after night, Indiana has leaned heavily on her ability to create offense, make plays, and keep the team within striking distance when things aren't clicking. That's why these sideline moments have generated so much discussion. When a player carries that much responsibility, fans naturally expect the person leading the team to be one of her strongest sources of support. Every possession doesn't have to come with praise, and accountability is part of coaching. But when the cameras capture moments that appear dismissive or unsupportive, people are going to question what that relationship really looks like behind the scenes. Because for a franchise player carrying enormous expectations, the expectation is simple: when the pressure hits, she should know her coach has her back.